participate by asking questions, making thoughtful comments, and inshallah we'll have a beautiful session tonight. Bismillah, Sister Yamina, Jazakallah khair.
Thank you, Isra. Jazakallah khair. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم افتح لنا أبواب حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. So last week we stopped at ayah 23, and inshallah we'll carry on from there. And ayah 23 says, but as for him who denies the truth, let not his denial grieve you. Unto us they must return, and then we shall make them understand all they were doing. For truly God has full knowledge of what is in the hearts. The ayah is actually وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَلَا يَحْزُنَكَ كُفْرَهُ إِلَيْنَا مَرْجِعُهُمْ فَنُنَبِّئُهُمْ بِمَا عَمِلُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. And we did talk about it, like a word that had attracted my attention that time was the grieving, the saddening, the being saddened or grieving over the denial of some other people. And how the muhsins, if someone is a believer and a muhsin who lives in the awareness of our connection to our Rabb 24/7 all the time, who is aware of being a abd, therefore because our ubudiyya mirrors the rububiyyah, therefore he's aware or she's aware of the rububiyyah manifested everywhere, starting from ourselves. Remember the signs, the ayat are shown to us in the outer world and in the inner world, and those two were related. So they feel sorrow, they feel saddened when others deny the truth. And why do they feel saddened? Because whoever denies the truth is not only depriving himself of great and lasting goodness and lasting happiness, lasting satisfaction of the heart, lasting peace, but he's also bringing misery onto himself. The second part, we don't always see it because it's not always apparent, but the muhsin sees, because the muhsin has basira, has insight. He's not deluded by the appearances. Although the person who denies the truth, when we are in denial, any of us, in that state of our unawareness, we're not aware of the significance of our deprivation, of our misery, of the meaninglessness of that state, and how big a burden it is on the human soul, on the human heart. So the muhsin can see how they are bringing misery onto themselves, and even when they seem to enjoy themselves, apparently, I mean, it looks like apparently there is no responsibility, there is no freedom. You're just like a leaf in the wind. But that enjoyment is not only superficial, but it's what is more important is that it is short and temporary. So it's anything that is short and temporary, as we've seen in other surahs before, it is emphasized that because it is short and temporary, that in itself is a source of dissatisfaction. So together with feeling sorrow for these people, as far as this ayah 24 looks to us, because this is not only, there are people out there, sure, but there is also a part of me that is in that state as well. So this ayah is speaking to me as well. And actually, unless I can connect to this ayah as speaking to me, because I'm never fully in that total ihsan, inshallah, that's our prayer and our goal and our purpose, inshallah. So if I truly connect to this ayah as speaking to me, then when I read it as speaking to other people that I may know around me, these people could be some beloved people to us as well. They could be close to us. They could be family and relatives. They could be friends. Then I can truly feel here why it's saying do not sadden yourself, because that's our first response, is to be saddened. But then quickly we remember that that's grief, that sorrow is itself a sign that someone is taking care of them. Whoever is giving me this feeling is also telling me that they have a Rabb. The moment they surrender, they will be taken care of. And actually, even when they are not, our Rabb is our Rabb. He's taking care of them. He's still showing them by making that enjoyment, that temporary and short enjoyment, that by making it dissatisfying, he is also guiding them again and again, reminding them of what they truly need, what they truly, what their destination is actually. And so when we remember that, it becomes like it's a time for relief. And so we pray for them, and we pray for ourselves, but not with despair, but with hope and with trust, inshallah. And our prayers are sincere to the extent that we ourselves have that yaqeen in God, in yaqeen in akhirah. And how do we know if we have that yaqeen? We can only look at the outcome. How do we feel? How do we act? How do we speak? How do we live in our life? That's our point of reference. And so these people who deny the truth, we're told, they actually do not deny God. Well, let me, I think I haven't mentioned ayat 24, where it says, so in ayat 24 it says, we will let them enjoy themselves for a short while, but in the end we shall drive them into suffering severe. And I think that's important to keep in mind. Because that suffering is what makes us grieve. Because we know, or the muhsin knows. And if we don't, as far as the ayah is concerned, when we read it for others, then it brings responsibility of praying and making istighfar for others. But as I just said, our prayers for others and for ourselves is only sincere to the extent that we ourselves are muhsin, to the extent that we are a muhsin. So we need first to read it for ourselves. Where is it in my life that I am denying the truth? And you will see here that this denial is not like I'm going out and saying, I'm going to deny the truth. I don't agree with this. And that's in the next area, subhanAllah, in ayah 25. Clearly, this is relevant to all of us, all the time. So in ayah 25, it says, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ قُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. So it's saying, if you ask them, who is it that has created the heavens and the earth? They will surely answer, it is God. Subhanallah. So we think, when it says in 23, those who deny the truth, وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَلَا يَحْزُنُكَ كُفْرُهُ. But actually, these people who kafara, who deny, they are not denying God. As far as they're concerned, they think they believe in God. And so it says, when you ask them who has created the heavens and the earth, they will surely answer, it is God. Say, all praise is due to God. Remember the hikmah at the beginning? The hikmah was being grateful to God alone. And so foolishness was the opposite. And so here it says, like, that it means you ought to know that praise is due to God alone. What does it mean? For most of them do not know. It means they don't know what God has created the heavens and the earth truly implies. What does it imply? At the end of the day, all praise, all gratitude is due to God and only to God. SubhanAllah, isn't that beautiful how it's giving us this point of this criteria? Like, how do I know what I'm doing in my life? Just check myself. What am I, or to whom am I grateful? So here, the denier, the one who is making kufr, if you ask him who is it that created the heavens and the earth, he is surely going to say God. So what does it mean about myself? Just because I think that I believe, inverted commas, because I think that, of course, God has created everything. He's created the heavens, the earth, everything. In other chapters in the Quran, it gives even more details, and each time they are going to say it's God. Yet, they are not aware that, therefore, there is an implication, there is a consequence to this answer. This is not just an answer. This is a way of being. This is a way of perceiving the world. This is how you feel. This is how you perceive. This is how you know. You are sure that everything is. So if everything is created by God, if everything is from God, therefore, all praise is due to God. However, most of them do not know. And so I have to go back to myself and check myself. What am I grateful for, or to? Really, I'm grateful for different things, but to whom truly? SubhanAllah. So what does this mean? Who are these people who are not deniers of God, yet they are making kufr? Yet their way of being in the world, their words, their action, their lives are not consistent with that claim, with what they think is belief in God. It means their answer that it is God who has created the heavens and the earth is not based on confirmation, tasdiq. It's not based on confirmed iman. And as a result, it doesn't fill their hearts with love of God, with gratitude for His rububiyyah, and only with gratitude and praise for Him alone. So, what does it tell us about their claim that or what they think is a belief that God has created the heavens and the earth? It means it's only a surmise, a conjecture, with no evidence to corroborate it. They never took the time to question it and actually, is it true? And if it is true, what does it mean then? What does it really mean that God creates everything? So as a result, it's a conjecture, a dhann, as it says in the Quran, that doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much to them. And that's why they don't even feel the need to confirm it. Okay, we believe in God, He created everything. Let me now, I have important things to do in my life. I have so many things. As though believing in God had no consequence to have, no implications, no consequence, and therefore didn't have anything to do with how we live our life. And this shows that they are unaware, they are in ghafla, they are unaware, they don't know what to say, of what they're talking about when they answer that it is God who has created the heavens and the earth. They do not realize that belief in God, if we say God is the ultimate, creates the heaven and the earth, it means it's the only cause of everything, of all existence. And as we've been each time seeing in the Quran, it means that it requires full surrender, taslim, to Him and to Him alone. Otherwise, it's not belief but dhann. Look at what we're told in Surat Yunus alayhi salam, which is Surah number 10. In ayah 31 and 32, we're told, who is it that provides you with sustenance out of the heavens and earth? And who is it that has full power over your hearing and sight? And who is it that brings forth the living out of that which is dead, and brings forth the dead out of which is alive? And who is it that governs all that exists? They will surely answer, it is God. Say, then will you not become fully conscious of Him? Seeing that He is God, your sustainer, your Rabb, the ultimate truth. فَذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمُ الْحَقِّ. For after the truth, what is there left but error? How then can you lose sight of the truth? ذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمُ الْحَقِّ فَمَاذَا بَعْدَ الْحَقِّ إِلَّا الضَّلَالُ فَأَنَّى تُصْرَفُونَ. And then carries on. Then it says, for most of them follow nothing but conjecture. And behold, conjecture can never be a substitute for truth. Truly, God has full knowledge of all that they do. And actually, I didn't go through all the verses in between. From 32, I went to 36. But in between, it says, they do not believe. They think, even though you ask them, who is it that provides you with sustenance? This is even more specific than creating the heavens and the earth. Who is it that provides you with sustenance out of heaven and earth? Because our sustenance doesn't come from earth only. We need the rain that comes from heaven. Who is it that has full power over your hearing and sight? This is directly related to ourselves. And if it is hearing and sight, it means breathing, it means life, it means moving, it means speaking, it means everything else. And who is it that brings forth the living out of that which is dead and brings forth the dead out of that which is alive? I mean, all the food, and we can only, one example is the earth. Or look at eggs. An egg is dead in the sense that it doesn't have life, and suddenly something alive comes out of it. And who is it that governs all that exists? This is a big statement. Who is it that governs all that exists? وَمَنْ يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرِ فَسَيَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ. They will surely say, it's God. Then why aren't you conscious of him? Why don't you live in awareness of him then? And then it says, for most of them follow nothing but conjecture, ظن. وما يتبع أكثرهم إلا ظنا إن الظن لا يغني من الحق شيئا إن الله عليم بما يفعلون. And it's interesting how it comes to what we do. It says, for most of them follow nothing but conjecture, surmise. It means it's a claim without evidence. It's like almost like a habit. That has never been verified, never been questioned. That's how everyone says it, and we repeat it. And behold, conjecture can never be a substitute for truth. Truly, God has full knowledge of all what they do. So what we do is reflecting truly what we claim. Because if I say that God creates everything, am I living according to that belief? If I'm not, then I have to go back and revise that claim. It's not truly. I may know it. I may know it's true because there are different degrees. There is just saying it but never have thought about it. I could have thought about it. I could have accepted that it's true. It makes sense logically. It's logical. It's reasonable. But do I surrender to that truth or not? Knowing it's the truth is still better than being totally unaware, but it's still, the cycle has not been completed. It is completed when I surrender to that truth, which means, yes, he creates everything. I am his abd. He is my Rabb. That means there is no way, if I surrender, not to feel gratitude for God alone. So here, it's very important. We need to pause and contemplate, because this looks to, it's not only a lesson, this is something very important about ourselves. Belief, Iman versus, remember the Muhsin, they have more than Iman, they have Yaqeen, they have this certainty. And here we're talking about people who have Dhann, conjecture. They think it's like this, but they're not even sure about it. And how do we know? Look at what they're doing. Inna Allah alimun bima yaf'alun. God is aware of what they are doing. It doesn't seem like, in their life, it doesn't seem like they believe in God alone. They believe in God as the only source of whatever they need. They don't live as a akhirah preparing to the next world is the only reality, that everything else in this world is passing and temporary. And therefore, gratitude is due to him alone. So let's go back to what we learned at the beginning. Was it? Sorry. The beginning of this ayah, Alif Lam Mim Hakim. Yeah, in the beginning well, because we are reflecting on this surah, I'm referring only to this surah, but you can refer to so many ayat in the Quran. خلق السماوات بغير عمد ترونها وألقى في الأرض رواسي أن تميد بكم وبث فيها من كل دابة وأنزلنا من السماء ماء فأنبتنا فيها من كل زوج كريم هذا خلق الله فأروني ماذا خلق الذين من دونه بل الظالمون في ضلال مبين. So we have been here given a glimpse of what it means that God has created the heavens and the earth. And if you remember, it means that right now, here and now, it is God who creates all that is in the heavens and earth. And how do we know? Because we see that every single being, every single event, like for instance the rain, we talked about the rain and the skies being supported, being upheld without support, for instance, they all indicate that each one indicate that its maker can only be the maker of all that exists in the universe, because they are all interconnected. We talked about that. And whoever makes me breathe, for instance, right now, who is making me breathing right now, can only be the one who has knowledge and power, not only over my body, but also the air, all the places where the air goes, which means practically everywhere. And he is the one who gives life, because it's through breathing that my life is being sustained. And so he gives life. If he gives life to me, he's the giver of life to all living beings. And he is the one who sustains that life with air and other nutrients and so on and so forth. So in other words, to affirm that God has created the heavens and the earth means that we affirm that everything in the heavens and earth are signs, they are ayat, indicating his creativity, indicating his knowledge, his power. They are reciting and telling us about his power and his knowledge and his giving of life and his rububiyyah. They are making tasbih to him. They are glorifying him with praise. They are speech. They are divine speech, as we saw and we said some other time. So when we truly believe in this reality, that everything is glorifying him with praise, everything is glorifying and reciting his beautiful names, everything is mirroring and reflecting and telling us about who our Rabb is. Everything and here I'm not talking about things only, beings only, but also phenomena, events, things that happen in our life. Keep in mind the story of the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. So when we truly believe in this reality and we keep it in mind, that's the ihsan, to know it once, to see it once is good. Now we need to keep that in mind, to remember again and again, to remain conscious of it. And that's the beginning of ihsan. And in order to sustain that state of ihsan, our gratitude needs to be to him alone. So we don't have to keep track of everything. At the end of the day, I look at myself. Am I grateful to things themselves or to my Rabb? That will be our point of reference and criteria, inshallah. And that's the criteria for hikmah. So when we truly believe in this reality with all our heart, wholeheartedly, we surrender to our Rabb wholly, because if we don't surrender, I can understand it and I can say it's true, but I have nothing to do with it. We make a choice, we choose, and that choice is just like putting the light on and off. It's an intention, and that intention needs to be renewed. Once I make that intention, it becomes easy to remember. Then, as I said, I can write it down, to remind myself. And after a while, when it becomes my way of looking at things, immediately it becomes hadsi. It becomes like, this is how I see things, as signs to my Rabb. Just like when you learn a new language, then everything will become a reminder, inshallah. So we need to truly believe wholeheartedly and surrender. Then we will feel gratitude for him alone. All other gratitudes will become signs to our praising him alone. For instance, when I breathe clean, fresh air, alhamdulillah, it's a gift. Not only the air is a gift, but also my need for it, all of it becomes a gift. Alhamdulillah, life is a gift. Alhamdulillah, praise be to God alone. When I enjoy beautiful friendships, I am grateful to him who created us all and created that need for each other, that need for friendship, and our appreciation of friendship. How would we know if we were not created in that way? Subhanallah, alhamdulillah. Praise be to him alone. And when I praise and I'm grateful to God alone, then I appreciate and value my friends even more, because now I value them and appreciate them as precious gifts, as precious mirrors to his beautiful rububiyyah. So my interactions with them becomes like a window open onto the realm of the unsealed, the realm of the beautiful names. I will see the names, the beautiful names of God there, through their generosity, through their compassion and mercy, and I will see his mercy and his compassion. Alhamdulillah. And so all my appreciations, all my gratitudes and praise for things, for people, everything takes me back to him. They all are signs taking me back to him only, because I know, meaning I am aware, not only information, that he is the source of all. He's the only source of all, of everything. And so instead of being a veil to finding God, everything becomes a reminder that reminds me of his givenness, his generosity, his care, his rahmah, his compassion for all his creation, including myself. And that's why the next ayah says, let's stop. Unto God alone belongs all that is in the heavens and on earth. Truly, God alone is sufficient, the one to whom all praise is due. لله ما في السماوات والأرض إن الله هو الغني الحميد. So what does it mean that he has created the heavens and the earth? Remember? And so if you ask them, who is it that has created the heavens and the earth? They will surely answer, it is God. Say, all praise is due to God alone. For most of them do not know. It means they don't know what this implies. And it carries on. Unto God alone belongs all that is in the heavens and on earth. Truly, God alone is self-sufficient, the one to whom all praise is due. لله ما في السماوات والأرض إن الله هو الغني الحميد. Ghani, it means he's self-sufficient. He does not need our gratitude. Hamid, all praise is due to him, even when I, in my unawareness, in my foolishness, when I am grateful to things themselves, to people themselves, without connecting it to my Rabb, the praise still goes to him, because the reality is that everything is from him. So when I am not grateful to him, I am only harming myself. I am only disconnecting myself from the source of all goodness, from the source of all my needs, from the source of all my being and existence. And that's why it's the opposite of hikmah, it's foolishness. And being grateful to God is like the connecting again and again, the being aware of that connections, because we're connected whether we're aware of it or not, but we only benefit from that connection to the extent that we are conscious and aware of it. So truly, everything belongs to God only. All that is in the heavens and on earth, that's what it means that he has created everything. It means everything belongs to him, including what I call myself, what I call my life, what I call everything. And if you don't believe it, just stop and think. Could I die in an hour, in few days? Sure, I cannot. I have no control over my life. So what is it, this illusion of my life and my plans for life and everything, in this connection with my Rabb? Of course, we've been given with, been created with that need to plan, to have hope and pray and for the future, but not without being grounded in the here and now. So truly everything belongs to God alone, and truly he self-sufficient, Ghaniyun Hamid, the one to whom all praise is due. But those who answer, who say God without knowledge, they don't know. And if you ask them then who it is that created the heavens and the earth, they say God, but they don't know what it means to say God. It's like it says in another surah, in another area, it says when they hear the word God, their heart beats, they tremble. وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. But like we say, God, yes, God, because he's created. Like it doesn't have any weight in our life. Subhanallah, astaghfirullah. Because if they knew, or those who know, they also know that praise, all praise is due to him alone.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Yamina.
Yes.
This could, sorry to, I hope I'm not, just wanted to, it just occurred to me that yesterday there was a program on how the brain works, on the unconscious brain. So this could be that they just said it mindlessly, from their unconscious brain, it's coming that yes, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they don't really ponder over it. I mean, it doesn't come from their conscious brain. So that is mindlessness when it doesn't come from conscious brain. I mean, the tafsir that you're doing.
I don't know about like the brain. I don't know how much we can
say when the Quran says
but
here in 25
yes.
that if you ask them who it is that created the heavens and the earth, they will certainly say Allah. So I'm saying when they say that, they just say it from their unconscious brain because, you know, most of our lives are dictated by unconscious brain. But if they say this, but most of them understand not. You know, they're doing it mindlessly. That's what my point is.
Mindlessly, yes, but
without thinking.
And like when we do it mindfully, it doesn't mean that in our subconscious we will think something else, because then everything will be aligned, everything will be pointing to one direction alone, to him alone. So I don't know about the brain, but yes, you're right. We can do things mindlessly, means without really thinking about its meaning, its implications and consequences. And yes, that's true. And so the following ayah, ayah 27 says, ولو أن ما في الأرض من شجرة أقلام والبحر يمده من بعده 7 أبحر ما نفدت كلمات الله إن الله عزيز حكيم. And if all the trees on earth were pens and the ocean were ink, with 7 oceans yet added to it, the words of God would not be exhausted. For truly, God is almighty, all-wise. And I want to invite you to reflect on how is this ayah now, ayah 27, related to what came earlier.
Well, Yamina, this summer, sister, one of my friends has invited us to visit their place on the beach. And as I was looking at the ocean, I was thinking about this area and what does it mean? Because of all, like the vastness of the oceans and all of the oceans and what does the word of God mean? Like, you know, and I think what came to my mind was the word of be, to be. Like every blessing that we have is by a word of God of to be. And whether it's the sun, by being there, that's a blessing. Whether us, that is a blessing. Like every word of God that's asking things to be, to happen, is related to our blessings, because the blessings are created for us. And that was the way I thought about that day.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. That's exactly what I thought here as well. And the key word is, as you said, is the words of God. Because everything else in this ayah is to tell us how infinite, like we can't count the words of God. It's saying, if all the trees on earth were pens, and if the ocean were ink, and not only the oceans that we know, even if there were, we added 7 oceans, it means even more. And like the ocean, as you said, is so, as far as we're concerned, it represents, like it gives you a sense of infinity. It's a sign to infinity. And so they were all writing the words of God, they would not be exhausted. It means the words of God are infinite. And so when we think word of God, one thing that comes to our mind is the Quran. But in the Quran, it's telling us, as you said, no, that everything is an ayah, and that everything is created through be and it is. And subhanallah, you said be, like existence is speech. Because in the ayah we're told إنما قولنا لشيء إذا أردناه أن نقول له كن فيكون. Whenever we will anything to be, we say unto it Be, and it is. So the origin, let's say, the source of being is God's word. It's the word be. He says be, and it becomes, and it is. So everything that is, everything that we are grateful for, as you said, all the gifts and the blessings, everything is a word of God, is a gift of God, a sign of God, a word of God. And so all creation, as it is being coming into existence, it is a speech of God. And that's why Imam Badr Zaman Said Nursi, he says, God speaks in the Quran. As he speaks, he creates. Because if he says God is generous, and there is we have no idea what generosity is, or we don't see any generosity. If he says he is wise, but we don't see any wisdom, then we wouldn't know what he's talking about. And as he creates, he speaks. So creation and taharruk, takallum, how you say, the activity, the incessant, the constant activity and motion in creation is a kind of speech. And it is translating the Quran, and the Quran is translating the creation. The Quran tells us that whatever you see is the outcome of be. For instance, we wouldn't know that, and so we don't just say, okay, the Quran says it's be, therefore it's be. We actually go and look at the creation and try to confirm the truth of the Quranic ayat. This is what we've been emphasizing in our meetings together in our classes. So the cue here is, what are the words of God? Everything is be, therefore all existence, all the gifts, all the activity of rububiyyah is an activity of speech, is the result of the words be. And another cue is that everything is a sign to rububiyyah, an ayah, and therefore they carry messages from God. And what comes to my mind is the ayah that says, أنطقنا الله الذي أنطق كل شيء. So in the Quran, in Surat Fussilat, people will ask their skins, why did you bear witness against us? And the skins will reply, God, who gives speech to everything, to all things, has given speech to us as well. For it is he who has created you in the first instance, and unto him you are brought back. أنطقنا الله الذي أنطق كل شيء. So everything speak, it's telling us that our skins will bear witness against us, and we will be surprised, like, how come they bear witness? How can they speak? They say, well, you know, everything speaks. And here it's not only speaking, Antaqa is speaking meaningfully. Everything speaks meaningfully because everything is an embodiment of a divine command. Everything is a sign to messages from God, and messages about who our Rabb is, about Akhirah, about our purpose in life.
Sister Yamina, just a quick question. So what I'm a little bit confused. The kalamat means just words, actions, or the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created? Because it
actually, the next ayat, 28, 29, and 30, they bring let's say they shed light on this ayah. For instance, in ayah 28, it says, for him, for God, the creation of you all and the resurrection of you all is but like, the creation and resurrection of a single soul. For truly God is all hearing, all seeing. So he's saying, ما خلقكم ولا بعثكم إلا كنفس واحدة إن الله سميع بصير. And to understand the message of this ayah now, we need to first observe the creation and read the signs, read the ayat, the words of God. That was the first ayah was اقرأ باسم ربك. So we need to read the ayat in the name of God, not in the name of themselves, saying, oh, it's very good, I like it, or it's very useful for this or that. It's in that usefulness, in my liking, there is an ayah again to the maker, the creator. So when we look at creation and start reading the signs, the words of God, and realize how, for instance, in this case, how encompassing divine power is, and to realize that creation follows the command of be, follows laws. Everything is created through laws, not through one by one by one. Like this is how we create, this is how we make things. You bake one cake and then you bake a second one and then a third one. You cook one dish and then a second one and then a third one. You take care of one patient and then the second patient and then the third patient. But divine creation is not like this. It's like be. Like after winter, we see the mini resurrection of earth at springtime. Everything obeys the command be. Like revive, be spring, and it is spring. So there is no difference between one or many before the divine power. This is what's saying here. ما خلقكم ولا بعثكم إلا كنفس واحدة. All of you or one of you is the same before the power of God. Why? Imam Badiou Zaman Said Nursi, he gives very simple example to make this creation through command accessible to our understanding. He gives few, but what I remember, if anyone remembers something else, they can share with us. But I can only remember hearing. He says, you say one word and everyone hears it. Like if you were teach in the classroom, whether you have 10 students or 40 students, you say the same thing, they all hear it. And light. When the light here in the room, whether there is one person or 10 people, it doesn't matter. We all benefit from the light in the same way. And I think he also gives the example of the reflection on a mirror. Mirror, and you put one candle in front of the mirror or a multitude of candles, they are all reflected as easily. And these are signs. These in the creation of the reflection or the hearing, there are signs for us to understand, because we cannot comprehend this all-encompassing power, this will that you just say be and it is. But we have ways to understand that it is possible. So the words are everything in creation. All the signs, every sign, every connection between, for instance, the seed and the air and the water and the growing into a flower or a tree or the fruits, the whole unfolding is speech, is words of God, is creativity, and all our needs, all our the gifts of Rububiyyah, the activity of the Rububiyyah, the creativity, is all actually creativity, and all is the result of B. And all of it, how do we know? Because all of it is meaningful, all of it has a purpose, all of it is a sign, all of it points to a source beyond, to a realm of the unseen, and all is, remember when we gave the example of letters, someone who looks at letters but is unaware that it is language, that it is writing, so he thinks they're just scribbling. But someone who knows the language actually reads them and knows that it is someone wrote it because it has a meaning. So this is the same, like everything is a word of God. That's why it says if all the trees on earth were pens and all the oceans were ink, they won't be exhausted. Because how can they be exhausted? It's infinite.
So it goes back to the same Quranic notion of ayah, as you said, that ayah has two senses. One, the text, the message that the Prophet brought, and then the other is the actual creation. So kalimat here, the words of God, can also be on. It's the same thing. Ayat is the messages of God in the Quran. It can be, and then ayat also in the world. Kalimat is the same. And this is a very, very beautiful metaphor because it uses the metaphor of writing. So in a way, it's about the written word, but then it's giving example of, endless. And there's a famous passage from Mawlana Rumi. He says, if you sit for 50 drams of ink, just they used to write things in ink pen at the time, you can write out the entire Quran. So it can't be that the text is talking about the words of God in the Quran, because you can write it down with a very finite amount of small bottle of ink, and you can write it out, all of it. But the text is saying you can bring 7 oceans and you'll keep writing at one end. What does that mean? It's a beautiful metaphor, because the metaphor is about writing, literally writing. But what are you writing? God's signs, but the signs are endless. Even the ocean drops are a sign, so it won't end. It's kind of endless sea of creation. It's a very beautiful metaphor. And you're trying to write out God's words, but they won't end, because God's words is not just what is written on the paper. God's words is the entire universe that He's constantly creating and recreating, from the stars to the electrons. You cannot write it down.
And it's only when we understand this connection between the signs in the Quran and the signs in creation, the words of God in the Quran, the words of God in creation, that we truly are understanding the Quran. Because when we look at the Quran, look at here, it's talking about ayah 29 again, it's going to come back to the words of God in the creation. And it is only then that, for me, it is what makes the Quran amazing, because then you understand what it means by saying it's a sign. The words of the Quran are pointing to something infinite. So even though you can write them with a finite ink, but what they are pointing to is so infinite that actually they are telling us how to read and understand the divine speech in the creation, which ourselves and our lives are part of. How to read the signs and the words of God in creation. And look at ayah 29. It says, are you not aware that it is God who makes the night grow longer by shortening the day, and makes the day grow longer by shortening the night, and that he has made the sun and the moon subservient to his laws, each running its course for a term set, and that God is fully aware of all that you do. Subhanallah, directly. Otherwise, it will be like in the same surah, in the same chapter, the ayat would not be connected to each other. It would be like the subject goes from one thing to another without connection if we don't acknowledge and see and appreciate the relationship of the Quran to the creation. And it is only when we see that and we learn to read the signs in creation that our life is going to transform. Otherwise, how am I going to see God in everything? How am I going to see Wajhullah wherever I turn, Thamma Wajhullah. There is God's face, the face of things, the aspect of things that looks to God. Subhanallah. So here it says, ألم ترى أن الله يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري إلى أجل مسمى وأن الله بما تعملون خبير. And it again comes back to what we do, because what we do is really the how do you say, the point of reference to our sincerity, to our inner world. It reflects, because everything happens from inside out, not the other way around. And so it says that you're not aware that it is God. So it is actually ayah 28 and 29 are shedding light on 27.
Sister Yamina, one more question or point of reflection. I just came from a lecture. It went above my head. It was on Tawatur, which I have no idea. I went a little bit late too, so I couldn't understand. But it's my point of. I was reflecting on this, that Allah's words of the Quran, His speech, have different effects on different people. I mean, since Arabic has quite a bit of metaphoric language in it, the Quraysh, they heard the same kalam, Allah's words, and they went 180 degrees opposite. They did not understand it, So everybody understands in different way, but these words are the words which bring guidance to some, and disbelief to some. So that that's my question basically. So it's the reality, I mean, the words are there, but it has different effect on different people,
We did talk about it actually once was part of our subject. It's part of our niyyah, it's our intention, and this is true for an event in our life as well. The same event happens, and I say, let's say, I'm making up something right now. I'll give something a little bit negative so it makes more sense. But we could use it for positive things as well. For instance, someone says something to me and I react to it, I become angry, and then I say, that person made me angry. And someone else, let's say a friend is next to me.
Yeah, I can give you a real example.
Yes. Please.
I was in a car crash this week. So the person who got the minimum crash was a chain reaction. So the person in the very most front who got the littlest hit, so somebody hit me and I hit somebody else and somebody else hit somebody else. He was furious. He came out, he just easily had a little scratch. He was furious. He was, cursing, and the man kept saying, I'm so sorry, I slid, I'm so sorry, it's all my fault. And he kept screaming. And then the guy that had also a bit of damage. She was like, you know, your car is not even like much damage, you're okay. And he was saying, I'm a bit damaged, but it's okay. But he was like, no, nobody's supposed to touch my car. Why is it happening to me? And he, like, and the same situation, everybody is in the same accident. Everybody realized that this happened beyond their control. The man who did it, who's at fault, he also said, I'm sorry.
It was
but he's
raining.
So upset.
It was raining, and because I was driving that day as well when you texted. And for instance, like in here close, there were lots of leaves. And can you imagine when you have lots of leaves that are wet? You feel you are sliding. You have to be very careful. Yeah. So it was like, so that's a good example. So it's the same thing happens. Different people will have different reactions, and that's because we bring, I always say there is no such a thing as a blessing. We say water is a blessing. Yeah, but water on its own is not a blessing. It's a blessing because I need it, because I have thirst. That's why signs are always a relationship. And that's why in the Quran, look here, it says, يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل. It's always talking about relationships. It's relational, the ayat. And so you can't say that the event made him angry. The event is an event, full stop. He makes it into something to be angry about, or something to be grateful about, a reminder that this life is temporary, transient, that every day we drive and most of the time we don't have accidents, we are being protected, we are not even aware of it. Time to pause and make istighfar. So it's the same with the Quran. It depends on who is the audience's intention. Something happened. It's not like we're making it up that the Quran has wisdom. There is wisdom, but that wisdom is not all everyone will see it. Remember at the very beginning of Surat Luqman, we looked at, for instance, in Surat Al-Baqarah. How does it start in Surat Al-Baqarah?
ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Exactly. Can you see there? It is ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. There is no kitab hakim. There is no doubt in that book, and it is hidayah, it's guidance for al-muttaqin. But here it is تلك آيات الكتاب الحكيم. First, it's not only kitab, it's more detailed. The ayat of the kitab, it's the signs of the book, and this book is full of hikmah, full of wisdom. So now there is something added. It's not only that there is no doubt about it, but also that its signs are full of wisdom. And it is not only hudan lil muttaqin, because al muhsin is also a muttaqi. So muhsin is more than just muttaqi. It doesn't have only God conscious, but also lives in ihsan, more than that. And so for the muhsin, it is not only a source of hidayah, but also a source of rahmah, of compassion. So the Quran is the Quran, that's it. It's always hakim. It is always a source of guidance and compassion. But it depends on its audience. If we are muttaqi only, then it is a source of guidance. But if we are a muhsin, it becomes a book that teaches us wisdom, and it becomes a book not only of guidance, but of compassion. We will see the grace and divine mercy and compassion in everything. Subhanallah. So,
Yamina?
Yes.
Today I shared with you a video that had a blind girl in it. And that blind girl was singing out how most of her life she viewed herself through the eyes of the society as a powerless, weak, a charity cause, until she connected with the words of God and started seeing herself through the lens of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has created her with love, wisdom, and mercy. And she said, that appreciation changed my life. So yes, there are people who see the blindness as like the person in the train accident. Why did this happen to me? And very negative. And yet this beautiful young girl, you know, once she starts understanding, she said, and now she's the big advocate of advocating for all people with handicaps to be seen for who they truly are, someone created with love, passion, and mercy and beauty. Yep. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Yamina.
Yes.
Ayat 28, and I know we're reflecting, we're looking how the previous ayats relate to the ayats that we're studying, but ayat 28 sticks out as special. It's saying that Allah maintains everything, created everything, maintains all the heavens, all the earth, but also each individual soul. So that's a little special ayat right there. That's like a jewel or a treat for us. We have individual responsibility to have a relationship with our Rabb. And for me, that's just part of my journey. I know you put it with 28, but I was like, wait a minute, this surah is so special. This ayat right there is so special. Could you just elaborate on that?
Yeah. Actually, each of them is so special, and they're all, mashallah, beautiful.
But this speaks to the individual. This is saying that it's not just one mass. Like your individual, you as a self, that you can just say yourself, or what is yourself? I know we're all part of this creation, but it says that it's not like lump sum.
Yeah.
It is pretty personal.
Thank you. Yeah, that's as you said, it's very comforting, and look at how it ends, because it says, "Inna Allah sami'un basir." Truly, God is all hearing, all seeing. Which, if we're on the denying side, it's scary, because we don't want anyone to see us or hear us. But if we are on the surrendering side, we're striving to get closer to God, then it's very comforting and reassuring, because it's telling us, as you said, it's not like He's lumping you all, like it's because, and He hears and sees each one of us.
And I think this
comforting.
Yeah, it is comforting. And it's actually the names of God in each ayah are all very very significant. Like in when it says, if all the trees on earth were pens and all the seas were ink, they would not exhaust the words of God. And it says, for truly God is almighty and wise. So it means in the creation, when we learn how to read the words of God, we are going to see His almightiness and the wisdom. Wisdom is, this surah is all about wisdom. And remember, wisdom has two sides, that everything is created on purpose, so He knows and creates everything on purpose. And therefore, it makes us, when we realize the purpose of everything, and our purpose included, it makes us so grateful. And that's the gist of wisdom again. Isra, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that this particular verse that says, your creation, your resurrection is like, like entire creation of all of you is like creation of one of you. And I really love that emphasis Sister Jalil brought, that is, you're not just one among many that could be forgotten, or just part of a big lump sum. Every individual, creating one individual or creating the whole humanity, is the same for God. It means everybody is individually connected and specially sustained. And that reminds of the other passage in the Quran that says, killing one soul is like you killed a whole humanity, and saving life of one person is as if you saved whole humanity. And I felt like we could have a session on this, because it's so important to recognize human, individual in relation to God. And I think maybe we can even have a session on this verse in connection with the other verse.
And it's not only recognizing, or let's say, to the extent that we recognize the individual in his connection with God, we will also become aware, to that extent we become aware of the relationship with the individual with the rest of creation. I don't even want to say only humanity, but actually all of creation as well. That oneness, we become more and more aware of the oneness. Yes, Alia.
So, mashallah, like it's all coming together, because the video of that girl, one thing that, like the theme that we're speaking about, she exactly said that. And this girl is a very young girl, maybe 20. And she said, my first years of blindness, I remember very clearly, my best hope was not to be seen. I didn't want to be seen. I couldn't see anyone, and my best hope was that no one sees me, no one notices me. So I tried my best to be unseen, unheard, unnoticed. And that was my best hope. Like the day would finish without anyone seeing me or noticing me. And then like, after she started, realizing, and she's exactly using the same words that we're saying right now, like after realizing that God has created me blind for a reason, that God has created me blind, with a purpose, that God has created me blind with compassion and love, I stopped asking not to be blind again. I start asking that God will give me whatever connects me to Him more. And then later on, I realized that my gift of blindness was the best gift of all. And my mother, and I was the second one to be blind, now realizes that having two girls that got blind at the same time in their life, at the age of 7, both of them, was the best gift of her all. She said, my mother changed from a passive Muslim into a very active Muslim that advocated for kids with a disability. My sister went from, became so determined, and she's doing her postdoc PhD in computational chemistry. I have become a very active, advocate for people with disability and diversity. She said, I now realize that this, just understanding that God sees me and hears me, that I need to be seen and heard, and I should stop, wanting not to be heard, and then started seeing it as a blessing. So like just putting everything we said together, she said all of that.
And even I just noticed, as we're noticing the order and how each ayat relates to the other ayat, this little ayat 28 is sandwiched in between these two huge ayats, 27 and 29. The one at 27 that speaks about if all the oceans were ink, and if they ran out and they even had backup, you couldn't exhaust Allah's words. And you're looking at all of creation there. and then like 28, and how the night gets longer, days merge into nights. That's all of creation. And then sandwiched right in between is you. That's,
Mashallah.
I just know.
No, like without you, there will be no one to read all those signs, right? They become meaningful through us.
But see how you relate to all those big things, even though you're so small and big at the same time. Yeah. Because it's all Allah's creation. Yeah. That's subhanAllah.
So small physically, but so human being has this capacity to be the representative of God on earth, and he has been created with this capacity too.
Like the blind girl's family.
To read to know all the divine names, subhanAllah, and to reflect them all, subhanAllah. And interestingly also at the end of ayah 29, okay, so God makes the night, and you're not aware that he makes the night, the day, the moon, the sun, the moon, everything, and that God is fully aware of what you do. So it goes back to us again. So he's talking about all these things. All these things are given to whom? To you, to me. And so what you do is he's also aware of that. It means, are you living accordingly? Are you acting accordingly? Are you aware of what's going on? Or are you just lost in your little bubble of illusions and complain and self-pity, and we make ourselves into small, pitiful, purposeless being. And here it says, that's not who we are, who you are. What are you doing? Like we're created with such a big purpose, but we insist on, I'm not, there is something, Isra, you remember? Mevlana gives an example about, like, why do you insist on crawling when you were created to fly, or something like that.
Dr. Yamina, there is another dimension to this verse, because one of the verses in the Quran, I don't know exactly which one, I can't give you the number. It says that the creation of the heavens and the earth was a greater job than the creation of man. So do you think this, would also include the tafsir of this one into this? Can we incorporate into this, or this is a totally different thought?
No, here there is no contradiction. We're not saying that the creation of the earth, heavens and the earth is greater or smaller or than that of human being. We're just saying, like, right after the ayah is talking about, like, aren't you aware of all these things? And then it says, and that God, and aren't you aware that God is aware of all that you do? It means what I do is directly related to the creation and the heavens and the earth, or the sun and the moon. The sun, the moon means the passing of time and everything. Just we're talking about the connections and the relationship. And what was, if you mean ayah 28, that's different. We're talking about the creation of one human being. Like, each single human being is significant and important, not in comparison with the heavens and the earth, but in the comparison of all human beings. And in ayah 30, it says, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهُ هُوَ الْحَقُّ وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ الْبَاطِلُ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْكَبِيرُ. That is because God alone is the ultimate truth, so that all that they invoke instead of him is falsehood. And because God alone is exalted, truly great, which means that he is greater and above anything we can imagine. سبحان رب السماوات والأرض رب العرش عما يصفون فذرهم يخوضوا ويلعبوا حتى يلاقوا يومهم الذي يوعدون وهو الذي في السماوات إله وفي الأرض إله وهو الحكيم العليم وتبارك الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض وما بينهما وعنده علم الساعة وإليه ترجعون ولا يملك الذين يدعون من دونه الشفاعة إلا من شهد بالحق وهم يعلمون ولئن سألتهم من خلقهم ليقولن الله فأنى يؤفكون وقيله يا ربي إن هؤلاء قوم لا يؤمنون فاصفح عنهم وقل سلام فسوف يعلمون. This is the last few ayats of Surat al-Zukhruf. It says, utterly remote in his glory is the sustainer, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, the sustainer in almightiness enthroned, or enthroned in his almightiness, from all that they may attribute to him by way from all what they may attribute to him. But leave them to indulge in idle talk and play until they face that day of theirs which they have been promised. For then they will come to know that he alone is God in heaven and God on earth, and that he alone is truly wise, all-knowing. And hallowed or glory be to him, unto whom the dominion over the heavens and the earth belong, and all that is between them, and with whom the knowledge of the last hour rests, and unto whom you all shall be brought back. And those whom some of them invoke beside God have not in their power to intercede for anything but such as have borne witness to the truth and have been aware that God is one and unique. Now, if you ask those who worship things other than God as to who is it that has created them, they are sure to answer, it is God. How perverted then are their minds. But God has full knowledge of the true believers and of his despairing cry, "O my sustainer, truly these are people who will not believe." Yet bear with them and say, "Peace be upon you," for in time they will come to know the truth. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Yamina. May Allah make us live and feel the wisdom, the Quranic wisdom.
Ameen.
Tonight, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, and thank you.
Thank you everyone for sharing.
Yeah, for joining us. And I just want to remind that these are the last couple days to register. The last day,